Hello, welcome to your mini wall hanging kit tutorial. If you stumbled upon this video and you'd like to purchase a kit, the link is in the description. So what you're going to need for this project is some way to mount the piece while you're working on it. So that could be with S-hooks and like a garment rack or a thumbtack that you can stick somewhere you don't mind. A command hook is really helpful. You're also going to need some sharp scissors. And what your kit is going to include is a finished wooden dowel and all your macrame twist cord pre-measured. So to start off the project, we're going to attach all the strands to our dowel. So fold them in half equally, and we're going to do a lark's head knot to attach. So push your loop over the top of the dowel and then pull your two loose ends through that loop. Pull tight all the way up to the dowel. So again, fold evenly, push over the top of the dowel, and pull the loose ends through your loop. Go ahead and repeat the lark's head until you have all 10 strands attached, and we will move on to the next step. Once you have all your cords attached, we're going to move on to our first knot, which is the square knot. So finding your exact center 4 strands, you're going to start on the left side. So cross the left over the center, and then the right over the left edge, behind, and through. So it should look something like this. And then securing the center, pull tight all the way up to the top of the dowel. And then to finish off the knot, we'll do the same exact thing, but start on the right this time. So the right will go over the center, and then the left will go over the right edge, and then behind everything and pull through, and then pull tight all the way to the top. Remember to keep that middle section really secure and taut, otherwise it will bunch up. So with these square knots, we're going to create the top of a diamond design. So we're going to work our way diagonally down, and we're going to start on the left. So find your next 4 cords, including 2 from the square knot that we just tied. So we have those 2 and then the next 2 in line, and there's our 4. And we're going to tie another square knot. When you get to the top, there'll be a gap, and that's totally normal. That does need to be there, and that is going to give us that diagonal shape that we're looking for. So don't go too tight on these next knots. Just go up until you can't anymore. Now just continue tying the same sequence all the way down diagonally until you have 5 knots total. Okay, you should have 5 knots on your left, and now we're going to work on the right. So do the same exact sequence and tie 4 more knots, and we will have the top of our diamond design. Okay, the top of your diamond should be done, and now we're going to work on framing it on the inside. So we're not going to be using these two outer strands on the next step. So you can move those out of the way. That way you don't accidentally grab them in this next step. So starting on the left side, we're going to create a line here with a knot called the half hitch. So the first thing we want to do is find our leader cord, which is the cord that the knots will be tied around. So it's going to be the first knot in line right there in the center. So hold that tight diagonally to line up against your square knot row, and then taking that first strand behind, you're going to go up, over, around, and through. And you want to pull tight. Remember to keep that leader cord diagonal and taut. And finish that knot by doing that one more time. So up, around, and through. Pull tight. And you can definitely tighten up at the base if you need to adjust. This type of cord is very forgiving, very easy to untie if you need to. So go ahead and continue tying another half hitch with the next cord in line. So again, twice you will go up, over, and through, and pull tight. So keep working on these until you have reached the very end of your row, and then we will move on to the next side. I did want to add in too that it's really important that your leader cord stays in front of the cords that you're actually tying the knots with at all times. Otherwise the knot just doesn't turn out the same. It gets a little bit jumbled, and so always kind of keeping that in the back of your mind that the leader cord needs to be laying atop of the cords behind. Okay, we're going to move on to the right side now, and we're going to do the same exact sequence, the same knot. So again, taking your leader cord, the very first cord you see there, go ahead and hold it at an angle, and then the cord behind is going to go up, over and around, and through, and pull tight at an angle. Do that twice per cord. So again, up, around, and through, pull tight. And that is the half hitch, and then move on to the next cord. It definitely feels different when you do the opposite side of a half hitch, and that's okay if it doesn't feel totally the same. That's normal. It just takes a little practice getting used to the different direction. So go ahead and continue tying down until you reach the end, and then we'll move on. So now you should have 2 lines framing those square knots. And we're going to get started on our center design. So we already have these 2 strands tucked aside, and now we're going to tuck aside these 2 as well. And we're going to get started by tying 1 large square knot in the center. So take your 2 outer strands and wrap them around the entire bundle of center strands to create a loose, kind of narrow square knot. And don't pull this too tight, otherwise your diamond design is going to lose its shape. So just gently tying a big square knot there. If you want to leave the center blank and as is, you can do that as well. Okay, for some reason it didn't show, but go ahead and pull down that other second strand that you tucked aside. We're going to be using that now to create the bottom half of our diamond. And so we're going to be doing another row of diagonal half hitch knots just like we did on the top. And you'll know that you're done with this after you have 10 cords on each side. So that's including the ones that are tucked aside, and that's also including your leader cord. So to get it symmetrical, make sure you keep count and have 10 on each side. All right, now we're going to complete the right side half hitch line. Remember to keep away that 1 strand that we tucked aside earlier. We're still not using that yet. So go ahead and tie your half hitch line down, and remember you will have 10 cords on each side. Now that you have both diagonal lines done, the diamond is complete. You can finally bring down those 2 cords that we set aside earlier, and we're going to mimic the top of the design by creating square knots on the bottom. So starting on the left, find your 4 most outer cords and begin tying a square knot. And now do that same sequence we did on the top. You're just going to continue tying until you've tied 4 square knots, and then we will move on to the other side and we will wrap it up right in the center. So I definitely messed up when I was filming and I only tied 3 knots, but what I said before was correct. Tie 4, not 3. So do that same square knot sequence on the right this time. Go ahead and tie 4 knots all the way down, and then we will meet in the middle on the next step.
Short of confidence, my hands begin
So now to finish off our diamond design, we're going to tie one final square knot and connect those two rows that we just tied. So go ahead and complete that knot and then we'll move on. So now we're going to trim those loose ends. You can trim it at any shape you'd like. I prefer to do an angle to kind of mimic the diamond design that we did. So that is totally up to your preference. You can do it straight across, you can do angled, you could do it round, whatever you'd like. And then this part is optional as well. You can unravel the twists on the hanging strands. It just gives it kind of like a wavy, textured style. I think it looks really cool. It looks a little something like this. So now our very last step is to attach the hanging cord. So because this piece is a mini, we are just going to do a loop. And so go ahead and tie an overhand knot, double knot, into a loop with that cord provided. And then we're going to attach it to the dowel with another lark's head knot. For someone you don't even know what you could have done, to tell you the truth, I love porcelain. So I just find the center of the piece and then I push the knotted part of the loop through that center, and then I tuck the clean loop through the knotted side. I hope that makes sense. And I just pull it tight. This way you hide the knot when you're hanging it up. You can just tuck it behind the piece and it looks a little cleaner. So that is your loop to hang your piece if you'd like. And this is the piece completed. Thank you so much for purchasing this kit, and I hope you enjoyed the project, and we'll see you next time.